Plan and it has been promoted internally. Mike has been here 7 years, about seven,
just over 6.
just over 6 years. Mike came from our maintenance position in a couple of different areas at the terminal, but he's now our properties manager. So he's managing this building along with every single one of our buildings that we maintain. With these two managers in place, Dave and I introduced our last two, which is our airfield and our operations manager, Stacy and Andrew. So now with Mike and Paul with us, we have a management team to handle really the day-to-day, so that the leadership team start looking into the future even.
Great, thanks for those introductions. We'll move on now to the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the contents of the agenda as proposed?
I will move that.
It's been moved by Ellen. Is there a second? Second by Robin. Any discussion or proposed modification to the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions. We move on to item 3, public forum. See any members of the public, so we will close public forum. Move on to item 4, consent agenda. I do want to just make a brief note that we have moved the employments data to the director's report. The rationale for that is we're always talking about that, and this is a consent agenda item, and normally you don't talk about contents of the consent agenda. So that's why it has been moved down to the director's report. So that leaves just the minutes as the only item in today's consent agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the contents of the consent agenda.
So moved.
That was moved by Helen. Is there a second? That's seconded by Chip. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? We move on to item 5, action items. The first is a budget neutral amendment. I would be willing to entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Finance and City Council the approval of the budget neutral amendment as outlined in our meeting packet.
So moved.
That is moved by Ellen. Is there a second? Second by Jeff. Discussion? Nick?
Yeah, Marie extends her apologies, she's not able to make today's meeting, but she worked very diligently on this budget amendment, and then I'll have a brief update on the financial report later on as well. We're halfway, just about halfway through the year, well, more than halfway through the year. And typically we'll bring a rather large budget amendment, budget neutral amendment to both this board as well as Board of Finance City Council, which are the steps after this. This is a $331,500 budget amendment, again, neutral, so we are truly just shifting some of our expenses that we no longer going to be needing into other ones. We did highlight some of the big ones in there, including everything listed in this particular memo. I do want to just call out one in particular, which is energy efficiency. I just want to make sure that it's well known that we are reducing the energy efficiency number by $180,000, which is the
Recording in
energy
progress.
efficiency line item is not a capital account, so we weren't able to use that account. We used our capital account when we purchased these vehicles, so merely moving that energy efficiency line item so that we did purchase those particular items. We didn't need it. That particular. Other than that, there really is just multiple accounts being moved around, as you can see with all of those line items. Some being increased, some being decreased. So putting the money where we need it as we project the rest of the year and taking away some of the funding in those other areas.
Right, commissioners, any discussion? Nick, do you have any?
I was just gonna add one last thing. We're probably gonna bring back another budget amendment closer to the end of the year.
Yes, Greg.
Can you explain again, is it why you did not use the energy efficiency for the purchase of the 3 cars? I heard you say that it came out of capital. Is that an accounting requirement that it do that?
It is because we capitalize those vehicles so that they depreciate, which is not able to go in this particular. We have a different. We have our operating O&M or operations maintenance account and for capital.
Right, commissioners, anything else for Nick on this item? Nick, my only question on this is, I feel like we see this every few years that when we do a budget amendment, funds seem to come out of repairs and maintenance, and that's $150,000 we're taking out. Can you explain like what makes that possible? Like, are there things we're not doing? Are there things getting deferred?
Always a good question. This really has to do with our parking garage lighting and fire alarm system repairs. We over budgeted this in fiscal year, actually in 23 and again in 24, because we weren't 100% sure what the phasing of that project was going to be. Essentially, that project increased that repair and maintenance line item by close to $2 million over multiple fiscal years. Because of the timing, because of working with our contractor, shutting down the project during the winter time, and really tying this to what the projected expenses are going to be for the rest of this fiscal year, we were able to reduce this by $150,000. That doesn't mean any of our other deferred maintenance on other areas of our budget. That's just barely. This particular project did not need that amount of work this fiscal year. You're going to see it in fiscal year 2025.
right, commissioners, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll
Just a
sorry.
question about the utilities. Was that, is that an additional charge because the space is increased, or is that related to the cost of electricity or some sort of energy use?
Yeah, there's a couple of utility line items, and they're both gas and waste. Water and wastewater line items in particular. I don't know the particular reason for that, I can get you that is.
I'm just curious.
But it was a $14,000, looks like a $14,000 increase to that. Overall, so. That is for, that is slightly for this terminal building and some for other buildings in our as well. Which are some of these chart account codes on the side.
I was just gonna say, if you wanna increase the heat in the summertime in this space here, then, you know, I'm all fine, I'm fine with that. It doesn't need to be as cold as it has been.
Okay.
All right, commissioners, any other discussions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions, we move on to item 5.2, Hudson News. I would entertain a motion to recommend that the mayor execute a 10-year lease extension with Hudson News as outlined in our meeting packet. That's moved by Helen. Sorry, second by Greg, discussion to be led by Nick.
So this is finally coming to fruition. I told the commission way 6-8 months ago that we were working on this program with Hudson News, or more formally the Hudson Group Burlington joint venture, which is the HG Burlington JV. So they actually partner with a woman-owned business, somewhat local. So not all employees at Hudson News are actually employed by Hudson News. Some are employed by the joint venture. Anyways, as part of our North Terminal renovations, what we just opened up, the exit lanes, the expansion of the space, we are working on really utilizing that space for not only Skinny Pancake and working with them on updating the restaurant space around their existing location. Hudson News was also impacted as well, and we asked them to temporarily relocate in that space. They're in a temporary store right now, which is literally pop-up stands almost. They cover them with security cloths at night. That's about it for now. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing and certainly not the best customer experience right now. However, while we're negotiating that, Hudson wants to reinvest in this airport at close to $700,000. But in exchange, they need to amortize that 10-year lease extension. Their lease currently does go until 2028, so they have 4 more years. So they're looking at a 14 remaining lease on their ability to put in that $700,000. The new location is essentially where the old security checkpoint used to be. So it's a much larger space. It's more central to the majority of passengers in the North Concourse. And once again, they're putting in a significant amount of money to make it more pleasing to the customers and offer additional products, including offering over 50%. There really isn't anything else that's being adjusted in the lease except the amendment to extend it by extend by 10 years with the annual increase to our guarantees.
That just went up 1%, right? From 2 to 3, is that right?
2%. So the minimum annual guarantees go up 2% annually.
We'll go up.
Go up 2% annually, and continue to remit payment at 13% of their gross sales back to us. But they are guaranteeing us whatever that math is. I don't know the last time since I've worked here when they were at the guarantee. They were always much higher than that.
think most places in airports make out pretty well. Because everything is so expensive.
It's fine,
Well, capture, the main thing does capture.
All right, commissioners, any further comments or questions for Nick on this item? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye, any opposed? Abstentions? Move on to item 5.3, snow removal equipment. I'd be willing to entertain a motion to recommend that the Board of Finance and City Council purchase the rotary plow as outlined in our meeting packet.
I'll look at.
On your roll,
Well, you know, gotta
so
keep them on.
keep going,
Keep
Greg is,
going.
Greg is seconded, so discussion, you look at it.
Sure, great, thanks. This is a primary piece of equipment for us. This replaced a 1999 much older piece of equipment that we decommissioned, actually sold. This is a 7,500 tons per hour piece of equipment, so this is a massive snow blower that we desperately need to maintain our priority one services. We did have 3 bidders for this RFP, and MB was the winning bidder, which is a 826,579. Lead time is about between 400 and 500 days, so we want to bring it for approval now.
This is a different federally funded program through our passenger facility charges. So we are going through the final approval process with the FAA. Essentially, when you purchase a ticket price on that ticket is a $4.50 charge per leg of your route. For this particular leg outward into Burlington, that money is going to come back to Burlington at $4.39. So we get a piece of that. We're talking around $2.8 million a year in revenue. However, we need FAA approval to even collect that funding as well as to spend. So that's what this piece of equipment is being funded.
Are there any snow plows at the military side of the airport now?
There's a couple, yeah.
Okay, so is that part of the combination of what's required for snow blowing?
No, they're separate. They take care of their lease area on the military portion.
They don't do the runway. But they don't do the runway. Okay, so this is really for the runway.
Yes.
And why is that? Don't they take off on the runway?
Because you wouldn't want one entity on the other side of the airport to be controlling the ability to clear the runway for the animals.
That's right. We have.
Let's say they
very
just didn't
different
show up.
rules. We have very different rules than the military does, and most of the time it's gonna be pretty equivalent. But we have responsibilities under our certificate to clear what Dave just called the priority services. So we actually have 3 priorities out on the airfield: runways, taxiways, to and from essentially air carrier usage spaces is essentially our priority services.
Do they contribute at all monetarily to purchasing?
They do, yeah, so every expense on that airfield, we take all of our expenses, whether it's snow removal, painting, anything out there. We put that in one cost center, our airfield cost center. And then we allocate that based on the ratio of operations. So when we go through that calculation for the lease, for example, and then they go through their calculation for the fire department use, we see which one is more expensive. The fire department is always more expensive because their ratio is typically around 6 to 10% of the total operations out of the state. So do they pay directly for it? And we'll always analyze that to make sure that we're not being underfunded for what we're getting out of that.
And if it makes you really, really happy to know, we can clear our runway faster than most airports of our size.
All right.
We're really, really good at it. The resources that Nick has accrued for our airport in our conditions and our winter conditions are fantastic.
I concur.
That's great to hear. Yeah, that's good information.
Dave and I know Larry went on a separate trip, but we do visit other airports, especially. I lean on him a little bit, other directors of New England area airports, but this particular airport we went to did not have these equipment, so in fact, they had separate pieces of equipment. This is a blower that we're talking about, but most of we have 5 other units called multitasking equipment or super shoots, as the group calls them, which does really 3 things at once with one operator. Other airports are doing 3 pieces of equipment. Yeah, so these things are very fast. Actually, Jeff just put out a pretty awesome video about it yesterday across our social media channels.
Very smart.
This question I have, does the old one just go like? Does the money line just be like a depreciation piece, or does it offset the cost of the 800,000?
And no, not really, it's a revenue because we sold it. Surprisingly, we sold it for $16,000, which is way higher than what we thought we were gonna get for it.
Yeah, it's 24 years old.
It's 24 years old, it was not operational, it was a part, it was in pieces, but somebody had these parts. And I don't know if this company is still making snow blowers, or I'm not 100% sure, Stewart Stevenson. I think the crew called it the carnival ride or the circus ride. If you sit on top of the ladder, it'd be like, whoa. It was
A sculpture.
yeah. It's like a corner of woods.
I did it in a rally once.
Right, Chip, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, the audio cut out a little bit. Nick, can I just ask you to clarify what I think you said? I heard you talking about this expense goes into the bucket, the cost, the control center. And then I heard you say they're allocated based on, and then you cut out. So could you maybe clarify, what is the guard covering from a perspective? And then I think I heard you say as a follow-on, regardless whatever that number is, you then look at the fire expense, and if the fire expense is greater than their allocable share of other costs, in essence, it's a wash. It would only be if those control costs exceeded what they're contributing toward fire and rescue, that a payment would actually be made. Did I?
Beautifully said, I think you got it all correct there. And that's in the beginning part, that's exactly what I was saying. We take all of the expenses for the airfield cost center and allocate it based on the ratio of operations.
Okay, that's what I didn't hear, ratio of operations. Okay, thank you.
Around the 6 to 10%. When we were going through the lease conversation, there was some public comments about how other airports were receiving payment on the lease close to $200,000 to $300,000 a year. That is that calculation that's being done. Those other airports never had fire and rescue services, so that's why there's a payment. And the same thing would happen with us, but in this case, if our costs are lower than their costs, then there is no exchange of funds.
Thank you.
All right, anything else for Dave or Nick on this? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. We move on to item 6, which is the construction update.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. So we have been busy working on project closeouts and new grant applications for this year. The FAA is rolling millions of dollars to get back, so we can get those closures wrapped up so we can receive those funds. So with respect to the projects we're working on, the North Concourse replacement project, we had a pre-application permitting meeting with the zoning department, planning and zoning with the city of South Burlington yesterday. We had a 60% page turn of plans on every page today with airport staff, so everybody got a feel for what we're doing and you know, what's there, what's not there, and I think anybody could ask the question, that went very well. Plans are in great shape. We anticipate applying for our permits next month and hope to be on the DRB in March. And we hope to be have pricing by early March, so we can apply for a grant in March also. So that's moving along, progressing for large projects. The XRE building design project is all the field work is basically done. That's tabulated, and the site grading and utilities plans are coming together, and that's progressing along. Also, the Burlington Tech Center, that's progressing along. We also had a pre-application meeting with the city of South Burlington yesterday for permitting that. We're probably even a little bit ahead on that with respect to maybe getting permitting, because there's at the extent of you know, it's an existing building, so it won't be an extensive permitting process for that. The runway 1533 improvements or rehabilitation project, we're at now receiving 60% design, and we're about to schedule meetings with the air guard, the tower, the airlines and all that, so we can start planning for that construction, which is still a, you know, well, a year and a half, not a year and a half away now. So, but we need to be ready. Everybody has to have plans, because of, you know, it will be a shutdown of the runway. So there's a lot of planning that goes into that. There's also a new safety management system plan that has to be done for that project too, a whole separate review process, which is new, so we're gonna work on that. The airfield payment management update is just about complete. We're just waiting for the report for that. And I guess we're gonna talk about the new president's isolation program. So other than that, can't really think of anything to report.
Where are we in the hotel? Is that somewhere away from here?
They are making a lot of progress. They have to redesign and go through some other bank information again. This is DEW Corporation still. Last year. It has not received DRB approval, but we're hopeful that that's going to continue this winter into spring and still be on track to have troubles either mid or summer. 2024.
Any questions?
I thought they brought up to me or discussed that it says that they're applying for the 10 million, but they're actually really just applying for permitting. For the Burlington Tech Center.
They enter another different grant process that Senator Leahy worked on.
Oh, so
There's a whole $10 million set aside for that through the school
Right.
for that project.
Not a new one. This is the same congressionally directed spending that they were appropriated a few years ago.
Right.
My understanding is they do have a grant in hand, but it's not for us. They're just applying for the permit through the city of South Burlington. Act 250 is probably going to get involved, fire marshal.
Right. So that's the way I understood it. The way it's worded is the Burlington School District has been given a award of 10 million, in which they are in the process of applying for,
Which is true.
which.
So they already have it based on what I
So
said.
they, no, it's
We'll double check. I think they have the grant in hand, but we'll double check. It's been appropriated to the school district. Similar to similar to Project Next, where we don't have the grant for that particular project yet, but we have the appropriation in the federal bills to award us the 30.
we still have to go through the application process.
That's the same way.
These are two different pools. They're not getting theirs from FAA.
Right.
The 10 million, she's saying the 10 million.
The 10 million is the same 10 million that we've been chasing for the
Yes,
last 3 years.
that's correct. There's
Okay.
no additional order changes to that I am.
I'd be great if there was another 10 million laying around, but we might need it, for that
Full
second
cabinet.
floor, I'm just saying.
That I am aware. We are not part of those types of conversations.
We're just working on the project now. What we committed to permitting in the initial design.
And the lease agreement.
Lease agreement, so, yeah, so. It's, we're helping with that.
Commissioners, anything else for Larry?
Quick question on the de-icing, number 13. It says the purpose of this project is to improve the glycol system. Can you just expand on that a little bit? What, is there a problem with the current system, or what do you mean by improve it?
Which segment are you on,
Number 13, the de-icing.
Not what I. That is strange. Right, okay, so. Our goal for years now has been to improve that system, minimize the glycol that's going into the ground for treatment, okay? So the next step is to design a smart system that takes the more heavily concentrated stuff we collect and send it to a frac tank, say, right? Then take that frac tank and send it to Portland, Maine, and have them recycle it, so we can reuse that material, they can send it back to us, and we can use it again. So this is, I mean, since I started working here, we've never thought that was the ultimate system that we should have, So part of this grant that we came to you a couple months ago about with respect to the state, federal government for stormwater, part of that money will be used to do an evaluation of the facility to determine some options we might have to improve that system. And then from that standpoint, we work with the FAA to get them to say, yes, this is AIP fundable. We'll apply for a grant for full design and construction of that system. So that's been on this list for a long time. It's kind of gone back and forth with the FAA whether it wasn't fundable, and we always thought it was, and we'll go back to it is. So we need to do better with what we have.
Right now, we're doing everything that's allowable under the permit, but like Larry said, there's systems and technology out there. Yeah, Larry, Dave, myself, Kurt, went out to Portland, Maine. And that airport, although they had much more significant issues with glycol discharge, we don't. But they literally do that, they de-ice the aircraft on a particular apron. That de-icing fluid goes into the catch basins, pumped into a pretty much a distiller, boiled down essentially, and that heavily concentrated stuff gets pumped into glycol tanks for the FBO to start spraying onto air. They get shipments from Newark, from New York City, all over the Northeast, and they do that because they're one of the that does that. It would be wonderful to have a full system like that here. Of course, it's cheaper, but we would have to truck that heavily concentrated material out to a facility. It's gonna take us a long time. Yeah, it's really right now, I think not achievable to put in a plant that size just to distill this material here in Burlington.
Right, okay, thank you.
So we'll stay with, we do truck it up there.
We don't do
Oh,
that.
we don't?
Right now, it just goes into a tank and leaches into the ground. Yeah. It's glycol, it's in tubes.
That's
I'll let you brush
It's
it.
propylene.
yeah, it's probably.
It is, look at your toothpaste ingredients, it's
It's
in
medicine,
Hey,
we should have done it. It is, sure.
You just have to bring some at the next meeting and approve.
Okay.
It's like double sip. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, anything else from Larry?
Just a quick follow-up, does the Air National Guard, do we de-ice their plants too?
No.
And just to clarify, we don't de-ice anything. All the de-ice fluid comes from Heritage Aviation. Really FedEx does their own de-icing. And then Heritage does all of the air carrier operations, and there's small operations like pump tanks every time. Most of it.
Do the jets, the fighter jets get de-iced or don't they need it?
They're basically kept inside, so you don't have to de-ice when you're inside. And then when they go outside, they go really, really fast. They're not out there really long. Yeah, and then the helicopters are not like, they're not gonna fly in blizzards and stuff, and again, they're all kept inside. So the reason we have to de-ice the airliners is because they sit overnight in the snow and the frost and so they clear off the first layer, but you can't have anything adhering to the wings to safely take off.
And whenever you're sitting in the airline, you'll usually see two different colors being sprayed onto the aircraft, so there's various reasons why those two different types of de-icing fluid need to go on. But Robin said it's to get rid of it so that it doesn't continue to stay or keep.
It's all about the time after they spray that you can get to the runway and take off. And because we're in Burlington, we always get held for whatever big airport we're going to from here. So that's why you get held longer, because they don't want to de-ice you before they have an emergency.
I think years ago, I had to, one time was de-iced twice.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
No,
But we got horse in, so I'm not complaining.
That's good.
that's all I can say.
Okay, anything else for Larry? And Larry, you're off the hook. We move to item 7, which is the noise compatibility program update. I'll get your time.
The big news is, sound installation pilot program, project phase 1 and phase 2 are nearing completion, or will be completed this week. Next week or the week after, they will do the testing to make sure we meet those requirements for sound reduction in the homes. So I guess everybody's pretty positive that we will, because the homeowners have really noticed a big difference. And so that's moving forward. With respect to next year, the phase 4 is after that. Phase 3, the grant we just received, our outreach is it's a little bit slow to start, but we're in the 40s now with regard to new people signing up to have their house insulated, their sound improvements made. And we're working towards that 50, so we can get out the bid and a grant in by mid-April, 1st of May.
So homeowners are applying for that.
Yeah, we had some. We need to try all different avenues of getting to these people. Some people are hesitant, and keep going down that list, so it was a little hard getting to them, but we are now even going door to door to make sure people are signing up, so we want to make sure we keep putting the word out. And as far as the noise exposure map, we're probably we're postponing this month's meeting with Rig Board to the technical advisory committee meeting, and we're waiting for some additional information, and now we just brought by 1 month, so.
Brendan, we did get your email too, so thank you very much. That should be updated either right now or tonight.
Great. Appreciate that. So what's the new date?
We don't have it yet.
Okay.
We're still waiting
So
on.
the audio was just cutting out, so I didn't catch that it was a to be determined date. Question about the finding, the remaining 10 homes. Do you have insights on, is there language barriers? What additional kind of support can we offer to help get those selected?
You know what, that's a really great question. I think between South Burlington and Wadowski, I'm not sure what the ratio is. It might be helpful to start coordinating with either your clerk treasurer's office or even just website scenarios, so that way people can. If they go to your website, they know there's an option available to sign up for the program. I don't think the last 10 are anything specific that's not letting them sign up. I think it is just a matter of they either don't know or they're saying no, so we have to continue to move on to the next one.
So people are waiting also to see how it goes for other people, so.
Are you, for the folks that are saying no, is that, are you getting like some type of document signed to acknowledge that, or are you kind of using that as initial no and then coming back around to them? What's the process there?
The latter. If you say no, that doesn't mean you're out of the program.
Okay.
That means today it might be a no, you might not be in this particular grant round, but we're
Right.
always come back to you to ask again.
Are these single family owner occupied homes, or are these rental multifamily properties? What's the demographic?
I think this year is the first, or this round anyways, is the first round that a lot of them were in Winooski that were multifamily or apartment, more than two units per building.
Okay, we do have a landlord registry. We might be able to distribute some information to landlords through that registry. Obviously that goes to kind of the broader list and not necessarily the specific eligible properties, but that could be a resource. I don't know if you're connected with our housing director, or our, public outreach director to kind of brainstorm around, mechanisms for, successfully, contacting the homes, kind of addressing any concerns or hesitations or anything like that, but let me know how I can help.
It's time to do that with Winooski, so yes.
Thank you, yeah.
Absolutely.
Just to build on Bryn's question, when people say no, what are the most common reasons?
Well, initially, the first one is hesitancy because they don't want people to house and stuff like that. The second is they want to see how the program goes before they allow somebody to house to do that. So I think those are the two big ones. So
We've had a couple here and there, I think, that just don't want to participate, maybe they just upgraded their own windows or just upgraded or renovated, etc. And some just no reason at all that they don't have to participate.
I think it's a huge disruption. I replaced one window and I thought I was gonna lose it. I can't imagine.
It's
Like,
very fast,
these
they're
programs.
within 6 or 7 days, yeah.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
yeah.
But that's probably the thing they don't believe because nothing actually happens that
And
fast.
I think that's the biggest reason.
You'll probably have a lot more features after you
Oh,
go.
it will, because
The word is
I mean,
out, right?
once we're out, it's out, I think we will, because these people did a nice. These
They did a
guys
good
did a
job.
nice job getting in and getting out and keep people aware, even though we had some delays because of storm windows and storm doors. They were well informed. Brianna, who's works for Jones Baines, that's out there, don't walk from door to door, is keeping everybody informed.
Yeah,
So,
but they don't start anything till they have all the stuff, right? Take your door out. Take them in.
Rip them out and then say, oops.
yeah, I can't put that window back.
Yeah, exactly.
That does not happen.
No,
So they're got it, even if there's a delay, they're just waiting to look.
Oh, and timing with winter, things like that.
Are the people who have had it done and you noted that many are very favorably impressed, are you using their comments or experience as a sales pitch, if you will, to?
Didn't that get in 7 days or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, so-
there's a couple of good articles, good testimony of people that were in the middle of the renovations. I think they had some posts from some that just completed it. That's why we really wanna get a model house set up as well. Because it's really hard to show this with a private house, of course. So we do own one house in this neighborhood. It's a life estate property, and that property will become the model house, working with,
Oh, that's
of course, the.
So you can walk in and say, oh,
You
this
can
is what
walk
it's
in,
gonna look
you
like.
can meet with our consultant, you can see what type of windows you can choose from, or doors, or just different styles. This is also going to be, I don't have the map, connected to the landscaping program eventually, so that there's also a light pump station and fixing station and water pumps, things like that, so it's a multi-use style housing and an office for our consultants to be here all the time.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, Brent.
I was just wondering if there's like a one or two page flyer or FAQ or something like that might help. Again, just kind of demystify like what to expect, what does this mean? What's the timing? How disruptive would it be to people's homes? If they work from home? We, just not knowing what people's day-to-day living situation is. How many people are home? How many kids underage are home? Just thinking about some of those demographic factors that may play into some of their perceived barriers.
Brianna does hand out flyers with a lot of that information. We should probably actually put that online as well. If we don't have it there.
We have testimonials now too.
Yeah.
They would be great,
Yeah.
I think, have them online.
Which is anything else for Larry in this section? Seeing none, we will move to the financial update.
All right, just a couple of brief highlights. I'll start with the big one, which is our audit. We are just finalizing our audit, probably in the next couple of weeks. My hope is possibly February, if not March, you'll see our final audit report. Everything so far throughout this entire audit season, which has been challenging, especially because our auditor company was acquired, so things have changed and procedures have changed. It's taken a little bit longer than we expected, for many different reasons. So far, there are multiple findings and but again, it's not yet complete, so but that I do not see that changing, but it's not necessary. You see Marie's really great right up here as usual. There's a lot of good highlights, increase in revenues year over year, slightly increase in the expenses as well. Again, a lot of that has to do with the parking garage project. We continue to have a very, very strong cash on hand account, still the highest we've had ever at this airport, at least for within our records. That'll continue to climb too as we close out some of these AIP projects, which right now is close to $2.2 million in projects that are now going to be closed out. The FAA has not paid, reimbursed us for that amount yet, so that $2.2 million will hit our account. Our rolling time period looks really strong. Landing fees have and has been really leveled off for some months now. Car concessions and CFC account still the concessions still are climbing, believe it or not, which is great. The CFC is definitely leveling off, and you see that downtick again. That's because we increased our CFC rate for a period of time. That's not back to our $4 per transaction rate, so that's why you see the big, and then it comes right back down. Parking garage revenue, normal parking garage continues to climb. As I mentioned, I think it was last meeting, if not the one before, this season, not allowing employees, all employees of the terminal essentially, park in our parking garage this season because it's full and it's fluctuating. very, very fast, much faster than we're used to. Some days it can be around 65-70%. Most days it's over 80-85%, and it can peak, especially during the holidays and during school vacations. It'll hit close to 95, if not more, occupancy percent. I hit on everything, again, again, the audit will wrap up in the next couple of weeks and we'll be sure to email that audit report to you prior to the meeting, and we'll have that as a point if you wish, at future meetings.
Is it a Vermont company or is it a company that just does airports or?
No, this is a company that does the entire city of Burlington and.
Oh, okay, same company, okay.
I'm not gonna say because I don't remember exactly how.
It doesn't matter, I will remember.
Marie will know it in a split second.
Right, commissioners, any questions on the financials? All right, we will move on to item 9, which is the director's report.
Great, like Tim said, and I agree with moving the operational statistics over to this report because I always have something to say about it. And it's still good news. I thought the month of November was going to have a little bit of a downtick year over year on passengers, but it didn't. We're almost 4% up over last year, November of last year to November of this year, which is fantastic news. October again was our highest month in probably over 15 years for that particular month. We continue to see strong numbers for this year. Obviously the calendar year is wrapping up. We don't have those numbers in this particular report, but we will on February 7th, which is our next airport commission meeting. So you'll see the full calendar year, which right now we will exceed last year. You can see right now, year to date, we're at 612,000. We ended the calendar year last year with 617. So if our projection for December, which will be around 45,000 passengers, will be close to 650,000 passengers again for the calendar year, which is close to our 2017 number, not quite as high as our 2018. This will start to shift again to January, is the month that JetBlue ended service. Their numbers were decreasing, but this is the month that we also don't have new airline service with 30 where nobody's serving. Specifically, really, I shouldn't say nobody. The JetBlue market is out and Greece has not started, so we haven't seen that fluctuation yet. I can't compare it on a one-for-one basis because a lot of those passengers are going to be utilizing our other carriers for their traveling needs. Breeze is still doing really, really strong. So in the month of February, their pre-sales are still the highest in their route system at Burlington. And we hope to see that continue, of course, for the rest of the year.
And where are they flying to again?
So Breeze will start January 31st to Tampa, Florida, and then February 14th, they'll fly direct to Orlando.
Is anyone else decrease their JFK flights? Because I thought that was also gonna be a problem.
Delta does go to, Delta's the only other one that goes to JFK. They did decrease it for 20-ish days, 30 days, and then they increased it right back up again.
On January 4th.
Probably.
So they 2 a day,
I think right now there's still 2 a day.
and then the only other ones for JFK.
Cool.
And then we still have LaGuardia and Newark.
Yep, Delta goes JFK and LaGuardia, and then United goes to Newark.
And once a day.
I think it's once a day on the 7-3, and they'll start during our peak season as well. Every year after September, except for October. October always goes up. November, December, our flight routes are much lower.
Was there any more talk with JetBlue about getting them back eventually?
So there's lots of changes with JetBlue, lots of recent changes with JetBlue. just in the past week and past 48 hours. Jeff and I did meet with the CEO of JetBlue 6 weeks ago now, so it's all a blur. Great meeting with Robin Hayes, the CEO of JetBlue, and his leadership team. Very clear that things needed to be fixed in the New York City area as far as air traffic control quantities. And the Spirit merger needed to go through before JetBlue would return back to Burlington. The couple of things that have changed, Robin Hayes is no longer going to be the CEO of JetBlue. He's stepping down and the COO, the first woman CEO, CEO of a large airline company, will be starting, I think, mid-February, so just a couple of weeks. Also, yesterday, this week, the Department of Justice, the judge ruled that Spirit and JetBlue are not allowed to merge. So obviously that's gonna continue, I'm sure there's gonna be legal action, but right now that is the case. Lots of speculation on both companies of what's gonna happen. I have my own opinion, which I'd be happy to share with you later on. But I think really getting Breeze in here and potentially additional other low-cost carriers is what our airport really needs to serve, not only the warmer Florida markets, but other markets that we are working.
How long does Breeze, has Breeze committed to us? They're sort of known right now in the industry as a Breeze.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that. They're relatively new. They're only been on the market really a year total. They're going into markets, they're testing markets for sure. They haven't committed to a length of time. No airline has ever committed a length of time since I've worked in this industry. Nor will I project that they ever will. Breeze wants to make a sustainable long-term route. They see the potential, the demand for a Florida destination, for a Florida market out of the Burlington area. It really.
But it's seasonal, right?
No, it's not.
No, they wanna be all year.
They're here all year, 2 times a week to each one of those destinations. Very similar to what Portland, Maine started with. They now have 6 routes with Breeze. It's all depends on the supply and demand of what our markets do and what the ticket prices do. This, I think, is going to be an extremely positive increase, and in fact has already, just on the pre-sale numbers, taken about more than half of what JetBlue is flying, just on a 2 time a week per destination.
So we had, I heard a number like 65,000, right, for JetBlue, so we got 30 back.
That's correct. Projected.
Projected, even with just the 2 times a week. The problem is you can get down and you can get back. Okay, so unless you're staying within the 2 days that they come back, you can't. It's tricky, but but 30,000 is good, I like 30,000.
I am ecstatic to have Breeze. They've been an exceptional partner to start working with. Yes, they're 2 times a week, but 2 strategic days per week. High days. There's always a way back to Burlington. You can get to anywhere in the world out of Burlington, then you can come home. Might not be able to. Jeff and I will be flying on the inaugural flight in 13 days?
Hey, how are you getting back? Unfortunately, we can't come back for 5 days because they don't fly on New York City.
The inaugural flight, first flight, so.
Where you're coming from Orlando to here.
Can't buy it.
I can't even tell.
That's right.
Again, there's lots of options. We have American, Delta, United, all flying to Florida.
That'll be great, that'll be lovely. Are we doing anything special that day for the fly-in?
We are. Jeff's got a really great plan. I think he has a marching band coming from South Burlington High School. Burlington. Sure.
Actually, it could be proportionate from South Burlington, it's a use of the orchestra that's some people. Burlington's a big connection.
Awesome.
That also.
So it's not really marching.
Now it's like a 5-piece classical sound.
Uh, and we'll have a press conference, we'll have a small event as we fly in for the first time on their aircraft. Breeze, of course, will have their personnel here to celebrate with us, and then the first flight will go out about an hour back. Return.
Yes.
Right, they want to roll into your.
Oh, right.
See, this is why it's not in the consent agenda.
All right, so we put together a quick report, kind of an end of year summary report. It is online and we can share it again. I already introduced Paul Holtz and Mike Waite. I think Mike is still on, and Paul, but again, really excited to see the completion of this reorganization come together. Again, we do have one vacant position with our deputy director slot. I am not moving forward with that right now, just to get Paul and Mike up to speed and work with them. And really test this reorganization. Right now, it's working really well, where Paul and Mike really hit the ground running and started working with their new teams that they're already familiar with. So super excited. Which took a lot of pressure on.
We've been smiling.
I keep giving them more work. Jeff can probably talk about a little bit of this, but just wanted to bring up local Maverick. We tested out a different gift store idea in the terminal building. Super successful and super local. Really positive feedback from not just our customers and our passengers, but our employees as well that utilize the network. This was set up, this particular picture was set up in our in the new building up on the 2nd floor. And I believe these are individual owners, or at least one of them is an individual owner selling her own product with local Maverick. This still needs to be played out, hashed out, and bid out. So we're preparing that. Jeff is preparing a bunch of things. This really was an advertising opportunity to make sure that the demand in our terminal building could sustain something like this, which it 100% can. So super excited.
Yeah, they're doing another trial right now. What they're doing is trying different times of the day, to see what makes sense for them to be open. They've invested in significant funds to try to make it work, from furniture to new kiosk systems. They hired another employee to help. So they're very serious, but they had very successful days here. So they're gonna be here to the 29th, and then we might do another test run for the February vacation, which they have agreed to give us a small commission. Thank you for working with them and try one more time.
So how is this different than the Vermont products that are in the other places?
Yeah.
Is this more boutique kind of stuff?
Very much so, yeah. I think he started this a few years ago, I want to say, this model.
Yeah, so what he's in the business of is these column makers will pay him a subscription. And he'll provide marketing services, help build a website, promote their brand. He has a small store downtown, just off of Main Street, where they're selling some of these products, including like some meat and ice cream products, so really wide array. And so now bringing it here, he's giving them more access. He's actually seeing more people reaching out saying, hey, it's really cool, I need jewelry or cannolis. The woman on the right, she's the cotton candy lady, I think it's her name. So she makes like different flavored cotton candies. She does a lot of events as well. So she's another avenue for these local makers to expand upon their business.
So sort of small batch stuff.
Small, and Hudson News it does have local Vermont products for they order.
So Hudson News doesn't have any reason to have a grade for competition.
I'm sure they do, but I think it's a healthy competition.
Okay, but it's not something we need to concern ourselves with from a legal standpoint.
There's no exclusivity on either Hudson or Steam.
And then the Maverick is really just the holding place. The person that's running Maverick decides what items would come to the airport. Not the, it's not gonna be the same, it's revolving.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
That's cool.
some of the, obviously, some of the same product, but there's new stuff in there.
Right, and it's some things too, like, we'll use Kestrel Coffee, for example, he actually buys the product for them and brings it in. So it's not just once that he's helping incubate from, I mean, he's not funding, but supporting. So yeah, it is revolving, and he works with Helen Burlington, and I love Burlington. He's selling some of their products there as well, so it's really, he does specializes in events as well. And he's connected to a lot of businesses that we think might be interested in advertising here too, so it's a good partnership.
Super good partnership, and a really unique feature of this too, and I think the woman on the left, did a demonstration, so to teach how to cook with the product or how to use the product, or in this case, using maple syrup to make like a powder Dr. Sugar scenario, which is really interactive, very popular.
And so all customers walk past this for
This one was upstairs, so just the American, I think,
Okay.
60+% of them passed. The part is mobile. Right now, we're looking at multiple for this next quarter. We talked a lot about Breeze, again, super excited to have them. That should actually say January 31st. Starting to Tampa, and February 14th, starting to Orlando, Florida. Jeff and I are on the road next week. We're gonna be in the Willis Tower in Chicago, meeting with United Airlines to make sure we usually see them once or twice a year, just to double check on how their sales are doing, we can help them, how we can partner with them, and there's always asks in there too, like ramping up service or additional to our network based on all the data that we collect. Similarly, probably in the next 2 weeks, unfortunately, American right now is not letting people visit headquarters. In fact, I'm pretty shocked that United is letting us come. Most airlines have kind of shut that down since COVID. But we are going to be meeting with American soon. Their domestic planner manager, which is really fantastic. We'll do the same thing with Delta, try to get on the schedule to go visit them in Atlanta. We are planning a employee city airport employee celebration for early February. Again, and Robin, you said it earlier, the folks that work here are really working really awesome. Both from the ambassador standpoint, Paul's team, our maintenance standpoint, Mike and Andrew's team, our operations team out there every single day with the conditions. So this is kind of a after holiday season, mid-winter celebration and pump up with some gifts out with our new logos. Really, it's about them on that particular day. Similar theme, but this next bullet point is in administration retreat, so this is going to be with all 4 of our new managers. This will celebrate them, but this will also assign additional tasks to their ever-growing list to make sure that we're moving ahead with each one of our really big projects that we have coming up the pipeline, all the way down to the smallest details. Like, how can we help lunch starting in various things. And part of that retreat, but really on a daily basis, we're just preparing for the spring, training of the spring, preparing for the it's already mid-January, so that's pretty good. But we have a lot of big tasks on our hand for spring and of course over summer construction, including finishing the south apron, which is the big apron in front of the new data technologies manufacturing site. Planning for Project Next and getting that shovels in the ground ready. as well as the big projects like Larry was talking about, including our runway. And big events too, Jeff is planning a big solar eclipse event here at the airport. We're working with downtown, we're gonna be sponsoring all of the classes for all the city events downtown, so we'll have 50,000 solar classes to hand out or to hello Burlington, love Burlington, and Burlington City Arts to hand out. So really exciting. Next couple of months, next quarter, really excited into the summer. Have to highlight this once again, not only are we going electric, we've gone electric with our vehicles. I think many of you saw those vehicles at our one of our previous meetings. Those were the exact ones that we were delivered the day, I think it was 2 days after it was passed by city council. The dealership was able to deliver them earlier than we expected. So we now have all 3 vehicles that you approved at the prior meetings. This Mach-E, of course, is sitting, sorry, it's a stock photo of the F-150, but the Mach-E is, of course, right in front of our building. That's actually fully wrapped. It now has a logo on the side, and it's it is being used quite often. We haven't charged it yet. It's been a week, and we continue to drive it, which is pretty good. Yeah, it's good. Next one, I just wanted to give a quick highlight and shout out to Hannah and Jillian Wade, and so many others, including folks from Burlington City Arts as well as the mayor's office. We put out a bid in partnership with Burlington City Arts for the wall right behind this wall right here in the hallway for a call for artists. We received 140, 160, over 140 bids from artists all across the country to build something creative for us. So a huge shout out to the team that was involved in narrowing this down. I will say I was not involved in the 140 selection, but coming down to narrowing it down, and super excited to give you a little sneak peek of what it's gonna look like, but also say that Phoebe Lowe was the selected artist, a local artist. And she's gonna start presenting this pretty soon. This is under $50,000, so you're not gonna see this come to the board, but it's
under 50 or 15?
50. But it's super exciting. It's a massive display.
We just hired her to do a sculpture with another company. We just approved this money. You know, on Patchen Road, it's gonna be in J.C. Park. It's really beautiful, it's glass and it's all these things like.
That's very cool.
She's working with another person.
She incorporates some of that here where there's like glass pieces, backlits.
Yes,
places,
that's what-
yeah. It's very cool. And then the last segment here is just some of the big highlights of 2023. We had a really successful year as we wrap up the numbers, which I'm very eager to see the final numbers for December. Of course, one of the big highlights was our brand new name. You're gonna see more and more of our logo changes, including this room. Maybe by February 7th, Jeff, this fall.
Oh, yeah, it's actually, Mike, in front, I think it's next week.
Awesome. So this will be changed, new logos on the doors, lots of little pieces. I did hand out for those physically here, some new stickers. These are all printed in-house now. So we're doing a lot of our printing and our logo design in-house with Mike's team right downstairs here. It's unbelievable what they do.
So cool.
Yeah. And this goes as big as changing all of our logos and all of our big vehicles as well. We do that all in-house now, which is fantastic. Bigger projects, bigger things like this fall and cars, full wrap cars, we do outsource. Again, that highlight of 2023 was finalizing and hiring for in hiring for the reorganization of the airport, so new director level position, that's Jeff. Seems to be working. He's doing phenomenal. As well as our 4 new managers. Announcement of new air service like Breeze, I won't say that again, but I love Breeze, I love Breeze. Increase in employments, which also goes into our parking garage utilization, very high, we're gonna continue to see that high. We are expecting some records again for the February school vacation as well as the April school vacation. One of our projects next year is to expand some of our service lots and make sure we're ready for this as the future continues. A couple of awards, just as a reminder that we won, including Vermont Business Magazine, one of the fastest growing companies in the state, and national recognition as voted number 8 in USA Today. I personally got to enjoy some really phenomenal trips, including representing the airport at the Airport Council International Airport. Just lost my words, but Airport Council International Summit in London, which was really great. In fact, I've still been in communication with some of these worldwide airports on some of the things that we're doing and some of the things that I see them doing. Just bring it back to this airport. I don't think we talked too much about this other bullet point, but we did put together a donation truck, stuff the truck that we called. It was a trailer, but stuff the truck so that we could donate flood relief efforts. We had many of our employees as well as just folks that live nearby drop off stuff, so we delivered that on the first one. So, we also celebrated Women in Aviation with Robin and her team. I'm excited to continue to do that with you annually, if not more, as well as a couple of community engagement events, some of them being a landscaping program and some of the programs that we have here. Great events here too. You can see a couple of the pictures on the screen. Mamava opening a 10-year anniversary celebration, as well as their new model, which is behind all of us there. We celebrated a couple of occasions with our congressional delegation, including Senator Welch and his wife right there, and Jeff joining us. That is in the Russell building, right next to the Capitol. Mamava, I'm also going to be on a podcast soon called the Bodaciously Optimistic Leadership Program. So it's Mamava, it's the owner, one of the co-founders of Mamava, Sasha, who is standing to my right in that picture. She's starting this podcast and she's interviewing people around the country that do use Mamava. Some of them do, some of them don't. But it's about Sasha's leadership style as well as what the name implies, bodaciously optimism within the workplace and outside. And I've already talked about the last one. So that is my summary of some of the great things some of the highlights that we wanted to reshare with you for 2023. And now on to 2024.
A question about 2024. Where's the airport at with the open house for the guard September 11th? And then the subsequent sort of uniting with Green Mountain Aviation for this sort of aviation day?
Yeah, so we do meet with Green Aviation Day occasionally. We're not intricately in the details with planning that particular event for all sorts of various reasons, but we want the logistics, the security, the safety of this. I don't want to call it an air show, but it's static display celebration of Vermont aviation that many entities are interested. It seems to be going really well on the planning side. There's a lot of logistics that work out.
From my understanding of the meetings, we're not flying, right?
Not in this airspace.
We're not flying this airport, and the guard is still just like they did, well, it'll be 2 years, right? Because they do theirs biennial. It's still gonna be an open house for them, but they're gonna work out parking logistics that were troublesome last year.
Yeah,
Or last.
they learned a lot.
Did they? My goodness, who expected 10,000 people to show up?
That's right.
And everything else is sort of happening in little silos. Right, like a heritage silo, a Bailiff silo, and sort of a West Valley ramp sort of silo.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. From my understanding, that's correct. As far as the guard event goes, I meet with the leadership of the guard once a month. We'll continue to help where we need. Mostly our role in that, because it's exclusively on their side, is to share with the public what we have to offer. And last time we put our snow equipment over there, let the kids just climb up into it and that type of stuff. So we'll definitely update you as we find out more about both events. And I know. Yeah.
Right, anything else for Nick? Right, move on to item 10, just commissioner items. I did not receive any in advance, but is there anything that the commissioner would like to discuss at this time?
Well, I just had one thing, and I mentioned that the council went through all the steps we needed to take a Picard circle off the state road map. This was an area where the dog park used to be, and there were a bunch of houses. It was just a little cul-de-sac, and they were torn down. And I just wanted to share, so we need to go through this rigmarole with the state, so. So it's all grass, I mean, with snow yesterday.
And there's a stormwater system.
And there's a storm, yeah, water chambers under it, so it's, doing some double duty. But a couple of the councils really noted how beautiful the trees are there, as well as the stuff out front where, you left the trees, and they're hoping that they'll be maintained. And the question that I couldn't answer was, is that portion of the land you own, is that gonna be part of the walking paths and?
Where Picard Circle was.
Yeah,
Right now, it's
it's not, I didn't think it was, but I.
Mostly because of that, that.
The road,
watershed
yeah.
There, it's really, really challenging to try to get across that versus using the sidewalk that already goes through the water towards Kirby Road. So right now, that's not part of.
Okay, I would share that, but they really did, we're hoping that those trees stay there, because they're really quite magnificent.
Our team takes a significant amount of.
Yeah, I think.
At their street, and when windstorms happen, you still see a lot of the trees, really tough for us to get in there, snowshoes or whatnot, so we'll do a lot of cleanup in the spring, of course, as most of us do. But when that happens, you can tell it's hard.
So I just wanted to share that compliment.
That should be before the year being March too.
Okay.
Well, I'll offer a compliment also. I don't know who is responsible for collecting or curating the artwork that's in the hallway, the upper artwork. It was just really nice. I mean, it's always been nice, but this month's selections are a nice sort of combination of Vermont scenery and just vibrant African art.
We have a really strong partnership with Burlington City Arts, so they have a rotating art display. We ramped that up this year, because it is on the passenger side of the terminal, more than it has been in the past. And then of course, that side, they extended the entire hallway this year to incorporate more of it. And they're helping us, of course, like mural, but also with other pieces that like taking required or have required to restore, like the skylights, keeping us in touch with the artists.
Anything else? All right, move on to item 11, which is follow-up items. There are no items previously this list. Are there any items that should be added to this list as that we should be following up on in the future meeting? All right, very good. We move on to item 12, it's executive session. So as a reminder, this is a two-part motion. Part one's pretty simple, part two pretty complicated. This is not part one. So I'd be willing to entertain a motion. Finding the premature discussion of the airport's legal affairs would clearly place the airport at a substantial disadvantage.
So moved.
That's been fine. Is there a second? All right. Everybody ready? Any discussion?
I don't even understand that statement.
So it's basically, we're saying that there are legal affairs that are affecting the airport that we'd like to discuss, but because of premature disclosure to the public could affect how those negotiations are going. We want to move into executive session.
Oh, back with you. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Jim.
I just have a point of inquiry. Are we expecting to come back into regular session to vote, or is this merely informative? I'm just being mindful of the time and not sure.
So that'll be covered in part two of the motion, but essentially the plan is to adjourn this session, move into executive session and not come back because there's no action that is expected to be.
Thank you. That's what I needed.
So all those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Nick, who would you like to be involved in the executive session?
Everybody at the table, Jeff, and then Paul and Mike will say goodnight to you. But yeah, everybody except Paul. Sorry, not sorry. Didn't point at you today. It's okay.
All right, so
Just make sure.
yeah, so Town Meeting TV, the meetings as well. But first.
Is there a separate link for this executive session?
No, we're gonna actually stay in this session.
Okay.
Since there isn't a need to come back to the regular session anymore. We are gonna stay in this link and just make sure that those people who should not be here are no longer. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Paul.
So now.